A busy week in golf just got busier this afternoon with this news. It was confirmed by the PGA of America that Keegan Bradley will serve as the U.S. Ryder Cup captain in 2025 at Bethpage. Bradley is 38 years old, has competed in 2 Ryder Cups as a player. Here was his statement about the selection. Bradley saying, quote, "I am incredibly honored to accept this opportunity to captain the U.S. team at the 2025 Ryder Cup. I'd like to thank the PGA of America Ryder Cup Committee for their trust in me as we embark on this journey to Bethpage Black. My passion and appreciation for golf's greatest team event have never been stronger. The Ryder Cup is unlike any other competition in our sport, and this edition will undoubtedly be particularly special given the rich history and enthusiastic spectators at this iconic course. I look forward to beginning preparations for 2025. Here is Bradley's resume at the Ryder Cup. Played in 2012 and 2014. Very good in foursomes and four-ball. Did not win a singles match in those 2 Ryder Cups. Overall, Bradley 4-3-0. Let's welcome in Jim Gallagher Jr., Paige McKenzie joining us later in the show. Jim, off the top, your reaction to this news?
Very surprised, to say the least. Just getting back home from the John Deere Classic, heard rumors that, Keegan could possibly be the captain. And I thought probably down the line he would be. But this is a guy that won the Travelers last year, has finished second a couple times. I think for people at home or a young person out there, he was so disappointed not making it last year. But the way he handled it was phenomenal. I think it's a lesson learned for a lot of us. A lot of us might have been angry at the fact that he didn't make it, thought he deserved it. I thought he deserved it, as many did. But not many people bring the passion that he does, and he'll bring that passion. He's very young. It is definitely out of the box. I figured it would probably be like many Tiger Woods. Maybe Tiger does it overseas, tries to break the streak of not winning over there. But this was very surprising, but I think Keegan will do a good job. He's not part of that inner circle, which will be interesting to see. But everybody gets along with him. He's very well liked. But to me, like I said, very surprising.
The unwritten rule of the Ryder Cup captaincy, you need to have won a major, check. You need to have some Ryder Cup experience, check, although not very much. And lastly, there was this network of captains and players who were going to become captains, and it was viewed to be almost a succession. And to your point, This is outside of that line of succession. He was not in that circle. Number one, does he have enough experience as a player at a Ryder Cup? And number two, does that matter?
I think we put a lot into the captaincy. I think the captain's job, in my opinion, is to obviously be part of picking the 12 guys and to prepare them and to allow them to prepare or to be able to succeed. It's up to them. I have yet to see, other than in the President's Cup a couple times, or when Tiger Woods, who were playing captains, a captain hit a shot. It gets down to the players, performing, making the putts when they need to. But I think when it comes down to passion, you're in that New York. He's from up in there with the school there. So I think there's something to be said. I think Bethpage is going to be like nothing we've seen since maybe Kiowa as far as the fan support in the United States. And after coming out last year, getting beaten Italy the way they did, I think he brings it. Heck, he's a guy that I thought could possibly even make the team. So that'll be some interesting scenarios because it's a full-time job. You talk to any of these guys that are captain, and it takes so much of their time. And he's still young, 38 years old, still playing some good golf, and it'll take away from that. But I know he's proud to be the captain, but it's going to be an interesting take. And I think he'll pick guys that he thinks they're going to have the chance to do the best. And maybe they're not part of that inner circle. I think sometimes, to me, you got to take the guys that are playing the best. And sometimes in the past, we haven't always done that. As far as I say we, as a former member of the Ryder Cup. So I think, sometimes that gets into that.
You assume that Tiger Woods is going to be a Ryder Cup captain at some point. Phil Mickelson would have been it maybe this year had he not gone to the LIV Golf Series. Who else do you think is a potential candidate as you look down the road to 27 and beyond?
Well, I think if you look at it, I think Tiger probably will do it over there. I think he'll be the main guy if he wants it. And I think Tiger can do it as long as he wants. I've heard the name Stuart Sink thrown around. There's a couple other guys in there, but the thing is, some of these guys are still playing some great golf, and even Tom Watson, when he was my captain, was still playing some competitive golf. You look at my team was a lot of veterans. We had a couple guys in their 50s, or Raymond Floyd was in his early mid 50s and still very competitive. Lanny Watkins. So you had guys that were still up there. We had a great mix, but it's gotten younger and younger. It'll be a big advantage. I always felt like it was at least 2 or 3 points at home advantage. And now you go to Bethpage with that crowd the way they are, and they're going to be really fired up to go. But this one was different. Maybe they're going with a little different scenario. It used to be if you won a PGA, you were kind of in line, but they looked like they were kind of creating these spots, but it was the same guys over and over. And I do like the fact that they went outside the box. And I'm a big fan of Keegan Bradley. Always have been. I remember playing with him when he was back on what would have been the Korn Ferry Tour. And I just thought, this is a good young man that could really play. And he's had a solid career. And he's still going to have a solid career for sure.
What about everything outside the ropes that a Ryder Cup captain is responsible for? How do you think Keegan will handle the media and the event planning and all that goes around with it?
I think it'll affect his own game. I think it will. I think it takes a lot of that time. But one thing that really struck me last time over in Italy, and I got to go into both team locker rooms. Nobody was in there. And when you walked into the European, and we've seen the locker room, and you walked in, and it was, I wouldn't say a shrine for each player, but each player had their family, their winning trophies, pictures of them. And when you got to the end, you had obviously Seve. I didn't see that in the American locker room. I mean, they had a few guys up in there, but I think just there's so many different things that go into it. It's amazing how something like that can kind of motivate people. You're going to be motivated. It's the Ryder Cup. You've got to make the putts. I just think last year the golf course set up perfect for these guys, for the European team, and they played great. They got off to great starts. But that's some of the things you're going to have to do. And like you said, that media attention, but it'll take away from his game quite a bit, but I think he's dedicated and wants to do it. It's a young time. He's still pretty much, I don't know about prime, but he's in pretty good part of his career. But I know he's honored to do it. I think it'd be a good pick. It's kind of an interesting pick this early in his career.
Not for nothing, Bradley himself is currently 24th in the U.S. Ryder Cup standings. I mean, he's a top 20 player in the world. There is the possibility of a playing captain at this Ryder Cup. What do you think his strengths and maybe challenges will be as a captain?
I think the challenges are just as I think it's going to be easier being at home. I think if you're overseas, European soil, that's that thing sitting over their head that they haven't won in 30-some years or whatever it is. But I think he brings the passion. I think for him, the biggest key is to put the guys together. They're going to use statistics. They're going to do all those things. You match them up together. Like I said, I don't know if it's up to the captain to motivate him. You just put him in the best position to succeed. And I think Luke Donald did such a great job with that last year. And it does start walking in the locker room. You kind of got that feeling of that patriot. But for the Europeans, it's in their soul. And it's not that the Americans don't want it. And they play a little freer over here. They will play a lot freer in the President's Cup. It's just when you haven't won in that many years, when you go overseas, it makes a difference. But I think for the Europeans coming over here, that home crowd is going to be huge. I think Keegan understands that. You look at Medina, how he got fired up. He'll be like that. He might probably have to tone it down just a little bit because he is, very patriotic.